ॐ सदाशिव समारम्भाम् व्यासशङ्करमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ताम् वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरु साक्षात् परब्रह्मा तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। Quoting from Swami's book, from the Book of Kindness. He says, there is a delightful scene in James Matthew Barrie's famous work, Peter Pan. Peter is in the children's bedroom. They're all jumping up and down with excitement. Peter has just flown across the room, and now the children want to fly too. They try from the floor, then they try to fly from the bed, but they can't do it. How did you do it? John asks. Peter answers, it's easy, John. Just think wonderful, beautiful thoughts. They will lift you off the ground and send you soaring into the sky. So this is a little delightful scene, as Swami calls it, from the book called Peter Pan. So in that, all the kids are jumping in excitement because Peter has just flown across the room. And they want to fly too. So they keep trying, getting on the bed, they try getting on the table, but they keep falling. So they're asking, how do you do it? John is one of the kids. He's asking, how do you do it, Peter? Peter answers, it's easy, John. Just think wonderful, beautiful thoughts. They will lift you off the ground and send you soaring into the sky. You see, this right here is the crux, absolute essence of self-purification. It's the thoughts that create certain environment in the body, certain environment outside. Because we said that mind is nothing but an extension of the self. It is not a separate entity. It's an extension of the self. Hence, it has the power of the self. Whatever we harbor within our minds, we manifest in our life. It works both ways. It's like an arrow with two ends, the mind. You see, it has the power of the self. Also, on the outward direction, it manifests whatever it holds within. On the inside, when it is pointed inside, it manifests everything in the body. So whether you're talking about bodily illnesses or whether you're talking about difficult life situations, know for a fact they're all created by you. If you have to be more specific, intellectually, you want to understand by your mind. Know that the mind, although we talk about it as a separate entity, it's not. It's an extension of the self. Just like as in a dream, the dreamer becomes all the characters of the dream, becomes the various scenarios happening in the dream, the various emotions being displayed in the dream. Similarly, the self, the Atman, the soul, manifests as the mind, the senses, and the external world. There is one continuous existence, Chidekara Sarupini. But for the sake of intellectually understanding, we are splitting it all up. So it depends what kind of contents you have in the mind, which is going to decide the kind of life, outside life you're going to have, and the kind of bodily health you will enjoy. So As Peter Pan says to John, just have wonderful, beautiful thoughts. You'll also fly. There is a deep message here. These vikaras that we are talking about are heavy. They're not just fleeting clouds anymore. They're heavy thoughts. They have become emotion. They are dressed up. Hence, they bring us down. They bring us down to a sad state, in grief. And we all have to fly. We all have to fly. If you Google spiritual evolution, Google images, right? Most of the times you'll see a bird flying because it's reaching towards freedom. Freedom from what? Freedom from all of this conditioning that dresses our thoughts and keeps it heavy. Whether you talk about grief, whether you talk about guilt, whether you talk about shame, these are all heavy thoughts that we have accepted with dressings. You undress these thoughts and you'll fly. So, one way is we said in depression to devotion, if you are experiencing certain emotions over and over and over again, sit down, invest time in dealing with that emotion. Every time that emotion comes, it wrecks you up completely. So instead of it coming unannounced whenever it feels like, have a dedicated time wherein you invite that emotion willfully. Go through it. It's happening in a controlled environment. Invite that emotion in the presence of your deity, in the presence of your guru, in the protection and refuge of your guru. Invite, deal with it, and come out willfully. Do it a couple of times, and then the emotion, then you will reach a state of, I have been there, I have done that many times. So even when it comes unannounced, it cannot have the same effect on you. And eventually, it will not have any effect on you. That's the way to handle emotions because they come unannounced anytime and wreck you. Identify which emotions plague you. Identify and set up a time, not just once, not just twice. Do it one emotion at a time till the time it has loosened its grip on you and it cannot evoke the same it cannot create a havoc in you anymore. Do it as a discipline. And any kind of emotion can be dealt this way. This is what we talked about the room. Go into the room. You could either sit down in your puja room and you can invite that emotion with all of its colors, the entire incident. Go through it. Feel what you're feeling without attaching the story to it. Just allow yourself to feel. So whether we're talking shame, guilt, hatred, first of all, we need to know all this we are tackling to be free. To be free of hatred, to be free of shame, to be free of guilt. We want to be free. It's not about the other person. It's about me. It's about my own evolution. It's about my own spiritual journey. Harboring these emotions is wrecking my life. I need to act so I can do something about it. And then, of course, there are these thoughts. And we will hear more about all of these from Swami in a day or two. So one way is to have the courage or heart of a yogi and keep dropping these thoughts, saying, oh, my mind is saying this, drop it. My mind is saying that, drop it, drop it, drop it. You ignore your mind to the point that it has nothing to say. You keep ignoring everything it says. That's one way. But if that is not working, there is another way. You see, our minds, now this is all we are trying to dissect the mind for the sake of intellectual understanding. Okay, if you were to objectively look at the mind, you will see the mind has various areas. Just like a city, right, has various areas. The mind also has various areas. Your mind has various areas. Let's say you devote, okay, I'm going to devote 25% of my mind to my family. In that, you would say, I'm going to devote 20% to my kids, 5% to my husband or my wife. Or you might say 25% to my kids, 50% to my husband or my wife. It all depends on your unique makeup. And then there is 5 to 10% you devote, on your own profession, or depending upon how much ever you devote. Your mind harbors thoughts related to family, related to spouse, related to work, related to your own physical body, related to your own responsibilities, whatever it is. It has these areas related to others. In others, there are particular people. Oh, this person, I hate that person. This person acts this way. This, whatever it is, the makeup of your mind. A little bit for your deity, a little bit for your swami, a little bit for your guru, that kind of stuff. The mind has all these colors in it. And then there is something called potential space. In medical language, potential space is any space that is present, but you can't really see it. It only opens up when it's required, which means, let's say, if you have some kind of infection and that infection is creating pus, the potential space will open up to give space for that pus to harbor. So the mind also has potential spaces. This potential space is used up by the mind when any of these areas put a flag up, say, this, let's say you have the flag up from the family. Your spouse said something. Instantly, the potential space starts opening up. And then, you start putting your spouse in there, and spouse related thoughts. He's such a this, she's like that, no kindness, whatever you can come up. The potential space opens up. Similarly, you could have work related thoughts. You could have any area of your mind could occupy the potential space. Even bhakti, slowly, because your mind is so occupied, bhakti also needs to, take up potential space because your mind is so full. But you see, what I'm trying to convey is most of the mind is covered in thoughts of I, me, mine, and myself. That right there is the problem. When your mind is so focused on I, mine, me, myself, this is about me, this is about me, I, me, myself, then you become selfish. That's what selfishness is, to harbor, to give no space in your mind for anything else. It's about me, my physical body, my appearance, my work, my job, my kids, my husband, my family. These are the people I like, these are the people I don't like. This is what I think is important. This is what I think is not important. These are my views on politics. These are you see, it's all about I, me, myself. And what Swami says is such a mind is always going to be heavy, is always going to be in the grips of vikaras. All the vikaras arise from such collection of thoughts. Does that mean we don't think about ourselves? No. All it means is tavadeva, as much as is needed. This potential space that we have, we need to start opening it up. We need to make our minds free. Forget about free. We need to make our minds have more space about others, about creation. Ramakrishna Paramahansa says, to love the Divine Mother is to love the creation. To serve the Divine Mother is to serve the creation. So this is the reason we're discussing all this, is we are trying to see if there is a second way. First way, we have already gone through it. Mind and divine and depression to devotion. About every thought, drop it, drop it, drop it. You're not able to do that? Okay, how about the second way? And this is what Swami says. Start living for others. Let that mind that's so occupied with thoughts of I, me, myself, my views, my opinions, my people, my likes, my dislikes, can you start creating a space in there for others? Can you slowly start expanding the space? Because he says nature operates through such a space. Because everything in nature you see is all about giving others. And we are working exactly opposite to nature. So, to be aligned with nature, can we start creating the space? Can we start living a little bit for others? Instantly the mind says, oh, let me join a social cause, some non-profit organization, some NGO. No. You see the idea of concentric circles? You start with a small circle, then you start expanding and expanding and expanding and expanding. It always starts like that, which is why there are families. Family is a unit. That's where your charity begins first. Can you take up a cause greater than yourself? How? You start taking care of how others want to be served in your own family. Even the way we serve others is according to what I want, how I want them to be. That's how you see, the I has to be removed and they have to be served that way. So it starts from family. Then you slowly increase to probably your maidservant, to your mailman, to the people you see around your neighborhood. You cannot go large scale. It has to start small. And then you slowly expand your horizons. And when do you know that you're ready to expand your horizon? When you have mastered the first circle, wherein you are able to understand openly, with an open mind, the needs of your own family members without imposing your own ideas on them. First, work in your house selflessly for the benefit and welfare of others. Serve them. You will know intuitively that you have done it. And universe will open up avenues for you to expand your consciousness further around your house, in your neighborhood. Here we are across the globe, literally across the globe, still connected. Because the universe made it possible. It has to start from your home, slowly expand. It has to. And when we do that, that potential space that we're talking about starts increasing. Now your heart is bigger. It can see past your ideas about how your own family members need to be, what they need to say. Seek to understand. Seek to understand. If Swami did not preach what he practiced, you think we all would even get close to him with the way we behave, the way we talk, the way we think? But he sees past all this. So serving Swami, loving Swami means At least can we be monkeys and copy him? So we have to experience this expansion of consciousness. Either you become a yogi and you empty your mind, or you become a devotee and fill your mind with the thoughts of your divine, or you expand your consciousness by service. And the greatest way is you do all three. A little bit of bhakti, a little bit of service, a little bit of dropping the mind. Dhyana yoga, bhakti yoga, karma yoga. They all have to come together. Start living for others. Because we want to only do grand things. We don't want to do something so basic as serving our own family. That's where the problem comes. Truth is what is, not what should be. What is right there in front of you. Your house, your family members. Can you serve them selflessly, keeping your ideas of their behavior being right or wrong to the side? Because till now, whatever service you were doing, however you were treating them, was all based upon your ideas. If you can keep your ideas of how they need to be served, how they need to be behaving, what they need to say, how they need to act, if you keep all of this to the side and just serve them, it will help you expand your consciousness. It will help you understand them better. The universe, the silent witness within, the Atman, whatever you want to call it, will then open up more opportunities and more and more. You may never leave the confines of your neighborhood. Who knows? You may just end up serving your family, your extended, the neighborhood. That's it. That might be the purpose. But we want to be someone grand. Swami Chinmayananda says this very beautiful thing. He says, one doesn't need to be great to do great things. One just needs to do things in a great way. You will only derive fulfillment in expanding your consciousness. Expansion of consciousness does not depend on space. It does not depend how much you're serving. It doesn't. It only depends on how open you are about serving. How much you're able to brush aside your own ideas, your own opinions about what right is, what wrong is, and how much you're able to understand people and serve them. Give them love. Maybe that's all your purpose is, to be very gentle in your speech, to just give love to people around you. If you look at Swami's mother, Mata Rani, she didn't go some Nari Morcha or some, freedom for women or any of that. She did none of that. Work, take care of her kids, take care of people around her. And look what she made. You don't have to go do some crazy thing out there. Love is our mother. Love is what we're made of. Can you start offering that? You can only offer love when your attachment to your ideas and opinions are brushed aside. This is how that potential space starts expanding. It starts expanding to the point that the I, me, myself remains. You will still have the I, me, myself, but it will be so, so little. And imagine that mind, it will be flooded with illumination. So service and love will occupy your mind. So what do you think is going to manifest in your life? Love and service. What do you think is going to happen to your body? It'll be filled with love. These vikaras are nothing but the extended family of I, me, and myself. They stay in the body and they express themselves in the life, in our life experiences. Start creating space. Seek to understand. Start small. Maybe that's the purpose of your life, to be right there in that family, taking care of everyone, the maid servant or the watchman or the mailman, just in that small area. And you derive this deep sense of contentment, deep sense of peace. The sense of peace and contentment doesn't come from doing great things, doesn't come from taking up huge projects. It comes from expansion of consciousness. This expansion of consciousness does not depend on space. It doesn't depend how much across the globe you are helping others. It just depends on how much you have let go of I, me, myself. The more you let go of I, me, myself, the more you will experience an expansion of consciousness. And that's all there is to it. You don't have to go anywhere, join any sanstha's, some, you know, women's right, let me go fight for this. None of that. Start small, smallest concentric circle you can draw. Smallest circle. Just connecting the dots with your own nuclear family first. Seek to understand. Step into their shoes. See how they feel. See how the world looks from their shoes. If you seek to understand right there, slowly, you will see there was truly no suffering. It was just the way you were looking at it. You had made up your mind about some things, and which is what we're going to let go. In the post, The Source of Emotions, it's an excellent, excellent post. He says the source of emotions is our perception and interpretation of reality, and not the reality itself. If you choose to question the validity of your emotions with awareness, a blanket of peace will cover you. You will come to understand that we cannot label people as precisely as we often do. And further, our categorization is not completely fair or objective either. With this understanding, you experience a deep sense of equanimity. A sense of equanimity is the first definitive step towards inner peace. This is what he calls as an enlightenment. You see, he says the only reason emotions arise, no matter which emotion you take up, the only reason emotions arise is because of our perception or our understanding or our interpretation of what's going on. It's not what's going on that's causing the emotion. You see the difference? Something might be going on in front of you. It's not the scene itself that's causing the emotion. It's the interpretation of the scene that's causing the emotion. You experience two people fighting. You see two people fighting. And you experience fear. Where does the fear come? Oh, what if they come to me? What if I get involved? What if I get hurt? Two people unrelated to you are having a fight. That scene is not causing emotion. It's the interpretation of that scene. What if they come on to me next? What if you feel threatened? That causes fear. So Swami is saying, if you choose to question the validity of emotions with awareness, a blanket of peace will cover you. So he's saying, if you feel fear, question it. Why are you feeling fearful right now? Instantly the mind will say, oh, because these two people are fighting. And that's what it means by experiencing emotions without attaching a story to it. You're experiencing fear, feel it. Accept it just like you would experience joy, and it will be gone. He's saying that we cannot label people as precisely as we often do. And further, our categorization of people is not completely fair or objective either. We categorize people as good people, bad people, carefree people, indifferent people. We can categorize. And that's what we saw yesterday in Tripura Rahasya. That when we go through experiences of life, it can either create vairagya. If you are on the path of contemplation, it can create vairagya or it can create emotions. It can create labeling, categorization. With this understanding, you see, understand, seek to understand yourself and others. With this understanding, you experience a deep sense of equanimity. And a sense of equanimity is the first definitive step towards inner peace. And here there is a little poem, he says. He says, what is enlightenment? A disciple asked the master, what is enlightenment? The master replied, to be public spirited and belong to no party. You see, no categorization in the mind. To move without being bound to any given course. Who decides the course? I'm going to do this. Oh, next time someone says that, I'm going to say this. These are all mental constructs. When you're there in that situation, do what's best. So to be public spirited and belong to no party, to move without being bound to any given course, to take things as they come, have no remorse for the past. This is important, you see, to have no remorse for the past. You could feel guilty about what you did maybe 2-3 years ago. But whatever you did back then was the best you could do given the circumstances, given your understanding, given your sense of evolution. That was best to do. You did it. What's the remorse from? Where's the guilt coming from? If you knew any better, you wouldn't have done it. Will you do the same thing now? Probably not. Why? Because you know better. Back then, you didn't know any better. You see, when you were a child, you may have broken a piece or two, some expensive piece somewhere. What's the point in feeling guilty about that? You did that, you didn't know any better, you didn't know not to play with the remote, you dropped it, it broke. What the hell? Have no remorse for the past, no anxiety for the future, because the future hasn't even unfolded yet, and you're anxious about it. To move when pushed, to come when dragged, to be like a mighty gale, like a feather in the wind, like weeds floating on a river. This is called to go with the flow. Don't resist. Go with the flow. Like a millstone meekly grinding, to love all creation equally, as heaven and earth are equal to all. Such is the product of enlightenment. To be in touch with yourself is to be in communion with the divine. Positive and negative emotions then are simply dewdrops that vanish upon the emergence of the sun of mindfulness. So no matter what vikar you want to take up, it is all arising from a sense of I, me, myself in the mind. Either empty it or fill it with your deity or expand your consciousness by service. Or if you are the wisest of all, do all three as and when needed. Don't decide from this time to this time, I will empty my mind from this time to this time. This is to have no course. You know to empty your mind. You know to immerse in bhakti. You know to serve the creation. With these three pillars, move about in life as and when opportunity demands, as and when life opens up, respond to it. You have three choices. You can serve, you can love your deity, or you can just be empty. Use your options and choose wisely. There is no point in taking up any more vikaras and dissecting them either. They all emerge from I, me, myself. You are suffering because the I, me, myself has gotten too strong. Work on it. Gently, kindly. That's all there is to it. So, on that note, we'll end the session. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Narayan Namostute. Narayan Namostute. Narayan Namostute.